How long gone? This is a pre-Thanksgiving recording due to our busy schedules. Jason's got 3 turkeys in the garage in the hot oil right now.
I really shouldn't have put those on before the podcast because I should keep an eye on them. It's going to be an hour.
Are you doing any Thanksgiving food preparation? Not to steal thunder from Allison Roman or anything, but are you working on any sort of macaroni and cheese? Or maybe a stuffing or anything?
I was just talking to a friend of the show, Bryn, right before. She posted on Instagram, I'm looking for a mac and cheese recipe. White people need not apply. And I was like, damn. Bryn said she needs a mac and cheese that make you want to slap your mama type of shit. You know what I mean?
It's a let me get a plate style mac and cheese.
But I'm actually, I have not had a chance to go shopping yet, and I'm going to do that as soon as I finish this episode. So I'm a little bit afraid of what the Glendale Whole Foods is going to be looking like. I think all the celery is going to be ran through like Sadie Hawkins last night.
It's going to look like, that's what it's going to look like a nightclub at 4:30 a.m. when the lights come on over at the Whole Foods. Don't even go to Ralph's. That's crazy.
Let me get, because Allison Roman, she has her recipe this year for the turkey leg. Okay. And it's done in the style of a confit, like a duck confit, if you've ever heard of that. And it's a genius idea because turkey notoriously kind of boring, nasty, dry, whatevs. And, you take this method of slowly cooking it in, duck fat or something like that. It's going to come out all yummy. So I'm going to try doing that today. I got some turkey legs on hold over at my local purveyor.
You're picking up some organic farm-raised turkey legs.
Brother, it can't be any more pasture raised than this. I'm pretty sure this is... The turkeys are still mooing, and they died a happy death.
Of course. And I'm not going to
serving their country.
I'm not going to go PETA mode on you. I'm going to let you cook, no pun intended. But is what sides are we working with? Are you preparing sides? Is this something that you
me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to do creamed corn. I feel like that's pretty nasty for you, right? That's high on the nasty scale, right?
That is disgusting. Continue.
Your mom probably likes cream corn though, right? And your daddy?
My mom's not a big vegetable person, as you know. But
she enjoys dairy.
She does enjoy dairy. That's true. Yeah. That's true. So maybe.
And as far as vegetables go, corn is it's an entry level offering.
Yeah. Corn is not toothy like broccoli or something. Corn goes down smooth.
Corn go down smooth, and gonna do a nice vegetarian gluten-free stuffing. So at that point, what's the point? But hey, there's a lot of people out here who are living with fake illnesses and all these things that we have to abide by.
No, of course. And I think that's nice of you to do and respectful. And I'm sure it's going to taste terrible, but that's not your fault.
No, I made it last year for all my GF hotties, and I surprised myself. I mean, expectations were low, because it is... Stuffing is 94% yummy bread, and since yummy bread that's gluten-free doesn't exist yet, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. But it ended up being good.
No, RIP to Bread Block, the only good gluten-free bread.
Unless you spend $37 a loaf, and who knows what's happening in the digestion with that. You know what I mean?
You know how much money I've spent on fucking gluten-free loaves in my short life. But it's true. It's an interesting thing that the gluten-free, you have to be rich to be gluten-free, I guess, is kind of what they're aiming for.
Only rich people are gluten-free. You ever met a poor gluten-free person? They said, no, what are you going to do? Not eat it? You find a way. You push through.
Yeah, you push through. And I think that the gluten-free bread prices prove that it's a kind of capitalist scam is the reality. $40 for a loaf of bread, that's not in my America.
Get out of here, Jack. What else do I got cooking? Ooh, there was one more thing. Oh, no, I hope that's fucking it. No, there was one more thing. I don't fucking know. KK is making some Molly Boz taters. They're probably going to be scrumptious, adorbs, yummo.
What is her? Can I ask what her style of potato is?
Hers is going to be. It'll be kind of like a smash style. So you kind of boil them, and then they come out soft, and then you kind of, instead of cutting them precisely with a knife. You kind of rough them up with a spoon or a fork. You want some oblong, esoteric shapes. Each one more random and insane than the last, and then
this feels more like art actually than food.
The art of cooking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to be the one to
say it. The Art of
it.
Cooking by DJ and Them Jeans, Simon and Schuster, 2027.
It feels like that. It does feel like that. I wanted to give a shout out to former guest and friend of the show, Jim Goldberg. He just did the new issue of The Face, the cover of The Face, like he did the Olivia Rodrigo editorial.
Go Goldberg!
And it is very good. It's very cool.
Let me take
it's very good.
The Face Rodrigo. Is that going to get us across the? Oh, here we go. She's got an apple on her head.
Yeah, it's great. It's so cool and it's so nice to see. I just feel like she hasn't been shot this way before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
damn, she looks cool.
It's very refreshing. But shout out to Jim.
Damn, her seeing the apple on the head really reminds me of the Michael Jackson documentary. You remember that?
I didn't.
And
watch
when
that.
he would write. Also, yeah, there's a picture of her sort of laying in some Silver Lake backyard on some tall grass. Yeah, this is cool and good. But in the Michael Jackson documentary, it would show kind of written correspondence, faxes, letters, things like that between Michael and his tiny homies.
Okay.
He would affectionately call one or some of these children that he pokes on Applehead. And I think this documentary came out around quarantine time, not unlike our guest's album recording. I'm assuming it was made in COVID, but during that time we were all sort of going through a little bit of a delusional psychosis. You know, where our brains had stopped working. Some people call it unhinged.
I've heard that line before.
Carolyn and I would call each other Applehead in a Michael Jackson voice sometimes, and it would create an eerie aura in our home.
Yeah.
You want to give it a try, Chris?
No, I'm good. I don't. Applehead. I don't know. I get
Applehead.
His voice when singing obviously was beautiful. When talking, it did leave. It left a little on the table for me.
When you gonna let me fuck, Applehead?
But he's Applehead.
Thinking we can go to Six Flags tomorrow, Applehead.
The worst.
You play too much, Applehead. Let's move on.
One of the worst, but he's forgiven.
Michael Jackson is not one of the worst.
One of the worst. One of the
greats.
I mean, I don't listen to his music personally.
Well, nobody does now, but you have to.
That's not true.
He's an undeniable talent.
No, he is an undeniable. I'm more of a Jackson 5 cat. You know, if I had to choose,
gun to my head, do I go MJ or the 5?
What? Don't make me choose. What is the? Okay, so you're ready for T-Day. You're good to go.
No, not at all. Have not even started. I'm incredibly behind.
But you have the plan. You have the plan though. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, but tomorrow I have white people Thanksgiving and then I have Asian people Thanksgiving on Friday. So it's two a days.
Man, you do so much family shit. I feel sorry for you.
Thank you.
It's you're a good guy for doing all that. You got to drive 2 hours. It's honestly.
Yeah, I drove 2 hours right after finishing work to Palos Verdes.
How was it? Beautiful?
For a gender reveal soiree. It was great. Actually, and Carolyn's mom made some food.
Okay, so what's the...
It was fucking delicious. I had not eaten anything all day because I'm on my intermittent fasting again.
Oh, welcome back. So what is the...
For the holiday season.
What is the gender then, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know if I'm at liberty to tell. The gender is beep.
Okay. I didn't want to. I didn't want to put you. I didn't want to put you in a bad spot, but I had to ask. Obviously.
No. It's fine.
I 100% don't care what the answer is to that question, but I had to ask.
Sure.
You know, I had to ask.
I know you've been hanging on the telephone waiting for dat gender.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dat.
But it was cool. I was wondering. I was like, how are they going to do it? Because everyone does it in a fun way, and they did it in a cute way involving a pie where they had she had these little kind of like QP cherub plastic dolls from when she was a kid that like her dad gave them to her, and there was like a boy and a girl little doll, and then you open it up and one of the two little QP dolls were sitting inside of the pie, and that's how you knew. It was cute.
Okay, the pie was edible.
If you've ever seen the QP mayonnaise, yeah, the pie was delicious. It was store bought.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay,
It was a banberry pie. Have you ever had that?
what's banberry? No, I've never heard of that. What is that?
It's so imagine a banana cream pie, but then on top of it is a layer of strawberries.
That sounds delicious.
So it's like a strawberry and banana pie. It's sick. It's very good. I had never, because when you hear the word banberry, you're like, that's gonna be weird. But it's just a combination of banana and strawberry.
Oh, I didn't even clock that even after you fucking told me. That sounds delicious.
It is delicious.
All right, put me in.
You know when you get the strawberry pie, it has it's got the thick kind of gloopy gelatinous strawberries, but in the sauce, but they're still a little undercooked, so you got a little chew to them.
Oh, I love a little.
Nice.
Love a little chew. I ran into Olive Lawrence Schlossman and this guy Ed Cumming from London who was visiting last night at Corner Bar, and Ed is a writer at the Telegraph, and like we've been in touch before.
Yeah, I think I know Ed. Shout out to Ed.
Ed told me a great Noel Gallagher story, and I'm not going to repeat it here. I don't want to give away his story. He lived this, but it involves Noel just basically his excuse for all his behavior and refusal to do things being, I have 100 million quid, and saying I have 100 million quid over and over, which really tickled me.
It's a card that not many can pull, and when you do, you're a prick. But if you own it in the right way, it does work. It is a flawless victory.
It works.
Fatality even.
If you're him and you're in England, it can't go wrong.
And you can't say dollars. You have to say quid. You can't say pounds or euros.
No.
It has to be quid. Are there any other currency types that it works for or no?
Yeah, I got 100 million yen. I don't think that really hits the same as quid.
100 million yen, that'll get you a Happy Meal at McDonald's. You know what I mean? The exchange rate nowadays. What was Simon Rex saying yesterday? Lire?
Yeah, that used to be.
I've got 100 million lire.
We have a guest today, Kevin Drew. You know him from his work in the legendary Toronto act, Broken Social Scene. He's put out a few solo records. The newest one is called Aging, and it came out pretty recently. It's on, don't worry, it's about me. Comes on a nice opaque yellow vinyl, if you're interested in that kind of thing. But let's go to the Great White North and chat with Kevin.
Okay.
Kevin, thank you for joining us. Are you in Toronto right now, or are you somewhere else?
I am.
Okay.
I am in Toronto.
So you guys aren't celebrating Thanksgiving, or do you celebrate the American version as well?
We don't celebrate Thanksgiving that much out here in the realms of Canada, but let alone the American one. Yeah. So ours, I think, was a few weeks ago.
Okay, so the October 1st Canadian Thanksgiving.
Kevin, how many more years do you think until it's fully done? Like we've pretty much rejected Columbus Day here. Thanksgiving is sort of teetering. Mm-hmm. How many more years until it's just gone? You know.
I think it depends on the social media intelligence of the world, but I'm looking at 3 to 4 years and then it's over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right, you give it 3 to 4. I mean, I don't like it because the food is
bad. We're post-holiday.
I get along great with my family, but I don't have any use for it, you know. But I like that. I like that it brings people together, but it also pushes people apart. That's what makes a great holiday.
That's like Christmas with the depression rate going through the roof.
Yeah,
it's
the same kind of thing. But in Canada, you guys have a lot of fake holidays. You guys have Family Day, which is happens like once a month, doesn't it?
What the hell's Family Day?
That's not a joke, Jason. Tell him, Kevin.
I'll ask Kevin. He's a real Canadian.
Family Day has bewildered me in the aspect that it kind of happened without me knowing that it landed, since when you're sort of an artist, you have no idea of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is a privilege, yet also a burden.
Check your privilege, Kevin.
I know. I'm opening up all wrong. I don't know much about Family Day, but I do believe in family, so I think the notion of it is a wonderful thing.
That's I'm glad you're able to say that. I just always found that to be funny. Like they couldn't come up with some some more dramatic name for it. They just really called it what it is, which is kind of charming, I guess.
That's what they say we are as Canadians, is charming.
Charming, I guess. That is important to include. Not an insult at all.
No, just an observation. Just an observation.
So Kevin, we've been fans of BSS for a long time, by the way. We just wanted to let you know. It's cool that we get to talk.
Well, I'm happy to do this, and I thought I could open with a question because how long gone? Where did that come from?
It came from the same place as Broken Social Scene. We started it in COVID, and here we are.
Yeah. No, it's a Brooks and Dunn song.
Oh, really? It sounded like a Dylan lyric, but it's Brooks and Dunn. That's America for me right there.
Well, the Brooks and Dunn and Dylan.
We'll take the Dylan as a compliment.
Are interchangeable. Personally, I don't really see a big difference. So I think that's why you got there.
Yeah, the origin of it is still like it's been so long that we kind of forget exactly. Like it's a real chicken or egg thing, but I was looking for kind of generic music to play as the intro song because we didn't want to use like a licensed song and get taken down by the DMCA, whatever. So I was finding the most kind of like random karaoke versions of songs I could find that no one will ever hear. Whoever made the song will never listen to this podcast when we find. And it ended up being just a very generic sounding country jingle. And it was the karaoke version of this Brooks and Dunn song called How Long Gone. We needed a name, and we were like, fuck it, let's just do that. It's sort of about how long will we be gone from our normal lives for.
I love it. I do.
And COVID ended up breaking much of my social scene.
Yeah, it stuck, and it feels, it looks nice written out, which is kind of what matters when you think about it. You know what I mean? I don't always think about that when naming something, but it's nice when it looks good together. The group of words,
the alliteration of it all.
It is. It's poetic.
Thanks, man.
And it lands.
I'm a poet.
Yeah.
It lands. All right, well, that's good. Have you heard of this before? Your publicist said you have to do this.
I don't see. You have to understand. I'm 47 years old, and people talking is what I listen to fall asleep. So I'm not a massive podcast person or audiobook person because when I drive, which I'm driving a lot because I live out of the city, I have to understand that this is something now that I've chosen to help me sleep. But I did listen to this podcast because it became so highly recommended, and I was touched that you guys wanted to speak to me. And I looked at your roster of everyone that you spoke to, and this morning my girlfriend and I drove listening to your Simon Rex interview, and
hell yeah,
I realized that I got a little nervous. I just said, "Oh, these guys are funny. These guys are alive. They're enjoying themselves. So I got to make sure I take a shower and have some coffee." And I'm not really an afternoon gentleman when it comes to the idea of answering questions. I'm more a morning person. But here I am.
It's funny. It's funny because we do record this we try to record it at the same time every episode, and it is a lot of people and musicians, of course, like, they're kind of night owls. People like to sit down, have a cocktail, smoke something, you know what I mean, and then start talking or creating. But we like to put you in a post-lunch. It's more of a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little. It's still
we want to kind of make it
free-flowing.
as tough as possible.
Yeah, it's still free flowing.
But I like Afternoon Gentleman though. It kind of sounds like an aftershave or something. From the days of yore.
Real sting to it. Do you? All right. So you an early riser in general?
I am. I did do that part of life where you stay up late, and of course, when the world's asleep around you, it's a great time to create because of the frequency of just everyone not being awake. And then once I got older, I realized, that kind of works as well if you get up early. And
that's right.
I enjoy the morning. I enjoy it before something ruins the day. I think it's the greatest time, the first sort of 4 hours before you get out there. So I try to wake up as early as I can.
Okay, and what are some of the top day ruiners in your life currently? Kids, pets,
I think
like that?
It's just the general sense of where we're at.
Okay, so just being so basically, you log on and you're gonna be upset.
It's hard to log on right now. Even
you fire up the X app and say, "Oh, brother, here we go again."
Unfortunately, I'm not on that. But the reason I'm not on that is because I have a hard time with a free for all in terms of looking at information coming at me rapidly. And I'm also kind of like an addict. So if I start getting into something, then I'll just consume it and consume it and consume it. And obviously, we live at a time where we're staring at our phones so much that in the morning, I try to remind myself that there's a day coming and you can actually witness it arrive. But it's hard when you've got this 0 and 1 magnifying glass in your back pocket saying, let's go, let's do this together. Let's do it together.
Let's crush some candy, bitch.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't look at that sunrise.
You're right. So you're getting up quite early. Are we farming? Like, how far out of the city are we talking about?
I'm a couple hours out, and fortunately I was able to hit that period in my age where I thought I can't handle the hustle and the bustle anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was able to go out and find a place where the silence is what keeps me up now. It's not so much the noise of the city. It's more just sort of the quiet aspects of the wind and the trees. And I need that so that I can get back to the city and try to be the best that I can be for everyone around me.
So you're recharging, and then you pop in. You take the Gardner all the way down, and you're back in the city.
You got it. It's more the 401, but yeah. I appreciate the Gardner reference. I do.
I try. I mean, I think
could us Americans get a translation here, guys, please?
It's just two highways. It's not that good. It's not that interesting.
The highway is called the Gardner
Expressway. Come on.
Yeah. But you call it, Jason, locals, we call it the Gardner. You know what I mean? I want Jason to look like he knows, so I try to
hey guys,
give him all the information.
I know I look dumb. I'm just trying to, for next time I'm in Ontario, and I want to fit in with my locals.
For sure.
Jason, where are you, Jason? Where do you live?
I live in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I grew up in Orange County, but I've been in LA my whole adult life.
And Chris, where are you?
I'm in New York, but also LA, but I'm in New York right now. So when you're talking about silence, it's sounding quite good to me. Because I live near a kind of main thoroughfare that takes you to the Williamsburg Bridge, and every day between 4 and 6 p.m., 4 and 7, let's be honest, it's kind of a barrage of horns and yelling that I am becoming. It's becoming harder to deal with, but I couldn't be like an upstate guy because that's too boring. So the answer is yet to be determined.
It's tough to leave it all and not have things to do or be spontaneous, but the only winning aspect of it is you're not around reaction, and you're not around people reacting to people and horns and all the things that happen when your city becomes overpopulated and filled with condos and too expensive to live, and you get to be able to just breathe for a second and
reaction,
figure out how you're going to.
I've never heard it explained that way.
Reaction.
You're making it sound good.
I like that. That's well put. But I feel like it's not unusual for a Torontite to go out a couple hours somewhere. I feel like I know a lot of people who do that. It's not that strange compared to the New York or the LA thing. I'm going to J Tree.
Yeah, it's more affordable, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just more affordable. And I went out to a wonderful town that wasn't the super expensive town, because obviously, if you follow where the people go, the prices go up. But if you follow where the trees are your friends, the prices aren't as expensive.
I was hoping the Drew compound was up in Muskoka. You had a couple boats, you know what I mean? Nice big garage. But you're saying you did something a little more mild
indie rock.
than that. Okay,
a little more indie rock.
I got it. Well, you get all these grants and stuff. I don't know how it works. It seems like a different business to me. You know what I mean? I don't know. Well,
I was going to say, with the grant system, it was always amazing the people who thought you were buying jet skis within that realm, in the aspect that everything you do within grants gets audited, because it has to, and it has to go towards everything that you're positioning your proposition for.
Vice needs another drum machine.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Because she's only going to use that drum machine to the greatest ability that it can be used. So I don't think any grant.
We had to.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, the grant thing. When I first learned about grants, obviously many years ago, I was like, "Wow, this is so not American. Like that would never.
Were you jealous?
We value the arts so little in this country that there's no way that any government would approve something like that, you know, even on a smaller scale. But I think it's interesting. I mean, I think that's one of the things that Canada's done is obviously the grants, but also like the kind of the rules about playing a certain amount of music on, you know, Canadian made music on the radio and stuff like that. It actually makes things work better, I think. And it seems probably at a low cost at the end of the day.
And there's like health insurance or whatever you call it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's all of that. The health insurance situation is crumbling right now. The grant systems are
go on.
They're first of all, you're right, and I think everyone who saw the way the Canadian government supported the arts, it was very educational and very helpful towards so many, and it's still existing and it's still out there and it's still so very important because it was sort of built around the aspect that we were drowned out by you guys as our neighbors. Mm-hmm. So they were trying to support a way of saying, okay, we've got such loud neighbors who are dominating this world.
Let's go.
We need to turn.
We
need to go inner.
We need to give Alexis on Fire $100,000, or we're gonna have a problem. No, I mean I think that's that, but it's smart.
So is it safe to say America was stealing your sunshine?
Oh Jesus, that's good.
It's not good.
It's not good. It's terrible.
I think America loved the fact that song existed and then provided
a soundtrack to
that song to have an existence. Look. If you were able to get to America and America was to be able to say, we love you, then it all started happening.
Sure.
It was very difficult to happen within the realm of this country because of the loops and the patterns and the sort of guidelines of how things went down. And so many wonderful, incredible musicians and talented bands found it difficult to get outside of this country and bust into America. But like so much celebration amongst art throughout the world, if you were recognized by your country and supported by your country, it very much helped people in this country say, okay, we've got something going right now. Let's get behind them.
That makes total sense. It makes total sense. It works. I mean, it works to an extent. I mean, we were just in Australia like a month ago, and we saw some we saw some bands play, and there was one that I liked, and I like looked at their tour schedule, and they were playing like 15 shows in Australia. And I was like, these are places I can't pronounce, things I've never heard of, but that made sense to me because they're so far from civilization. Like they have no choice but to do that, really. Whereas I'm sure you guys were playing in New York like very early on.
New York was what sort of broke us, doing the Mercury Lounge, getting out to the Bowery, being with the Bowery Presents people. Mm-hmm. We fortunately, across Canada and across America and then going into the UK, we had a support system that got behind the record that we made, You've Forgotten People, and it allowed us to elevate out into playing for way more people than we were available to in the realm of staying within Toronto.
Of course. I mean, you never lived in New York, did you?
No, I spent a lot of time in New York also because my family was in the book business and we were always down in New York. You
mean like cooking the books, or you mean like bound books?
No, bound books. They were in distribution, and one of the big companies out of New York was Sterling. So we were hitting New York all the time and hitting bar mitzvahs of people and staff members, and it was.
We were hitting bar mitzvahs all the time.
I was in Jersey. And Beastie Boys was rocking "Fight for Your Right to Party," and there's a videotape of my brother and I and some other kids at this bar mitzvah rocking out to "Fight for Your Right to Party" when you could have those effects behind you. Remember when the VHS effects started to really take off around 85 and the green screen just arrived?
Sure.
It's a memory I have of New York, always.
A simpler time. You
still a Beastie Boys fan?
Still. Yeah, I think they're one of the greatest of all time. I really do.
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
A lot of people would agree with you, Jason. Jason and I don't get it. Never gotten it.
You never got the Beastie Boys.
Oh, I got it.
You never got the Beastie Boys.
I'm saying I don't want to listen to that. Like, I guess I like, there's a couple, the instrumental record is amazing, very underappreciated. But the rest of it, I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. I can't do it. I understand that it's like an important thing in music, especially in New York, but it never tickled me.
One of the only music takes that Chris and I have agreed on in our lives, honestly. I don't know what it is.
We don't agree. We don't
want to believe.
We don't agree on much. But that one we do agree.
I remember being a kid in school, in like high school, like freshman year, and then they discovered "Girls" by the Beastie Boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the most sexist song they wrote, but there's many other jams you could point out. But I understand where you're headed with this.
At the time, being sexist was not the offense for me. You know that. You know, I'm 13. I don't even know what being sexist is at that point. So, but I just remember all the people who made fun of me, or like bullied me in middle school. They really liked this music. So to me, I was like, this is for like jocks and bros, and I don't like it.
Well, okay. I understand that. And I think they corrected themselves because they came out with Paul's Boutique. And even I'm 47, so I assume I'm older than you guys. And the aspect of that was, I understand the jock aspect because they came out with the jock aspect. And they also came out with the sexist aspect, but they came out at the same time as Run DMC. They were part of this hip hop scene that for us suburban white kids, we were like, what is going on?
Sure.
And then when they dropped Paul's Boutique, we couldn't quite understand what was going on. And in high school, Check Your Head came out and it was over for me.
Yeah.
It was over in the aspect that they followed that up with Ill Communication. And those are two of what I call the white albums, you know, the Beatles record. I just call them the white albums of rap. And
I thought you meant because they were just white rappers, but I see what you did there.
Some of the whitest albums ever made.
I see what you did there.
I don't know what to say.
But they have righted their wrongs. They have atoned for their sins. And I'll give them a pass.
MCA passed away. I heard it on the radio and I was driving.
Yeah.
And I remember when River Phoenix died. I completely remember because I was such a River Phoenix fan as a kid. I loved him. Stand By Me, Running on Empty, you know, Indiana Jones, The Explorers. We can keep going. The Nightlife of Jimmy Reardon, whatever it was called. When MCA died, I pulled my car over. I was a river boy. When the MCA died, I pulled my car over. And I took about 10 minutes to just sit there and think to myself, thank you for the rambunctious childhood that you gave me, to the aspect of just sort of rhythm and rhyme and melody. And then that's what I loved about the Beasties the most. And of course I love Tribe, and of course I love Funk Dubious. I saw Funk Dubious, the Lynch Mob, and the Beastie Boys here in Toronto on their Ill Communication tour.
That's a Canadian ass lineup right there, baby.
It was a frat party, but there was also so much more to it. There was depth and intelligence, and there was just rhythm like no other. So I'm sorry that you were bullied. See, my bullies were more of the Metallica Slayer era. You know, that's the guys that were coming for us. But
those are also two bands I don't like. So I just don't. I don't not like. I just never like. I had friends that were so into Metallica, and I was always like, this is kind of corny. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I was wrong.
So is Metallica triggering for you then, Kevin?
Not anymore. It kind of was in the Kill Them All days, and I didn't quite understand. But then I realized that they were just kids that needed to, as all kids do back in the day, just let it out, figure it out. Music is your identity. You're going to find people. You're going to find friends. You're going to find community through listening to these bands.
Yeah.
I mean, what were the bands that the two of you were listening to back, like when you weren't getting bullied? What was it that you were listening to when you weren't listening to the Beasties?
I want to be clear. I want to be clear, Kevin. I've never been bullied. Okay, just to be clear. I mean, I actually, I'm more bullied now than I was as a child.
Well, we all are.
Let me say that.
That's a given.
Yeah, that's true. Let me.
Not me. Actually, not me. I'm good, baby.
I was. I mean, I would say
I was ironically listening to Metallica and calling people like you a pussy. Probably is the sweet irony on that. But yeah, I was listening to a lot of metal and shit like that. But also, you know, I was dipping into the world of Primus, unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't know this about you. That's tough.
Like, yeah, when I was like middle school, it was grungy. You know, your Alice in Chains is a little Primacy. You know, but lots of Metallica.
My middle school is when I discovered Operation Ivy, and then I went from there. One of the greatest bands that I think is. I mean, they only put out one record, which makes you good. Kind of.
As far as ska goes,
I wouldn't even classify it as ska. I would classify it as something more. There's more depth than that, Kevin. I know you would agree.
I don't even know Operation. I'm wondering.
You don't know Op Ivy?
I probably look. I'm a New Order kid at the same time, so that's another thing that I'm sure
me
I
too,
could
me
critique.
too.
Okay, good. I wondered if that was probably.
I mean, New Order's the best. No, Operation Ivy was like
I'm a huge New Order fan.
Operation Ivy went on to be Rancid.
Oh, of course. Okay, no, I skipped that whole scene. I skipped Rancid and Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and that's when I was getting into Dinosaur Jr. and My Bloody Valentine, Sonic Youth, and all those.
And you're just a little bit older than us, but that makes you cooler in this particular instance because the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones were like top 40. It was like a hit. Like my parents listened to that on the radio. It was like unavoidable
I was listening to NoFX and you were enjoying My Bloody Valentine. So there is a cooler answer out of those two, and I think you're in the right place.
You know what? Let's just say the 90s was incredible.
Oh yeah,
musically.
I mean, look, that's all I listen to right now, so I can agree with you completely.
Even the music of Green Jello?
I don't.
Okay, it's a good thing.
We could send that to you. We can send that to you.
Send me all this stuff that I don't know that
I would like you to explain the Tragically Hip to us. Because I know you've worked with them and I've been aware of them for so long, but when did they peak? Like when was their biggest phase?
I think it was throughout their career, especially in this country. They came out of the gates and they just didn't look back. It was as if you just had this sweater that was made for you and you put it on and you wore it for like 16 years. Gord Downey, the lyricist within this rock band, who
said Gord Downey.
Yes,
what a name. Sorry, continue.
The legend, but the name Gord is very sick.
It is. He had a lyrical way of looking at things that was simplistic, intellectual observations that brought a wide variety of people together. So you didn't have sort of one fan, and that was I believe their greatest accomplishment. And for us, because it became a national anthem within the group's music, they could really do no wrong. And they constantly just kept putting out anthems for even when you're supposed to be moving on from certain, as you grow older, like, well, I'm not going to listen to the Beasties anymore. I'm not going to listen to Operation Ivy anymore. The Hip always seemed to be able to emotionally connect to you with the memory muscle that you first heard when you first heard them, and it was quite genius of them.
The Hip, they're your Oasis in so many ways, I would say.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask though, what is it comparable, like, because Oasis obviously is like that band of England, of a country, in the same way. You know what I mean? But I don't know, are we too divided to have that in America? Because I you know what I mean? I can't think of what that would be.
I don't think so, but I also don't think about it. I don't know how to answer that question. They could be like the Oasis, but Oasis only had a few records. We're talking about...
Yeah, Tragically Hip's got a catalog.
Yeah, they have a catalog, and we stuck by them until Gord passed away. And when he passed away, it was the biggest mourning that this country had gone through in history. So
really,
I'm not sure how to speak about him also, because I'm in the inner world of that memory.
Yeah, sure.
But I love that you're asking about them, because it's a band that I can put on right now and play you 17 songs and explain to you why they're all relevant in the world that we're living in.
I see what you're saying. What is when you worked with them, was that like you guys obviously had a relationship, or was it kind of going in cold?
I had a relationship with Gord we had just finished a record called Secret Path with a friend of mine, Dave Hamlin, who played in the Stills. We started this little production duo.
Man, let me stop you right there. Stills,
Okay.
classic. One of the most underappreciated Vice Records releases. That shit. I have a Stills song. I think it's called "Being Here."
Mm-hmm.
I have that on my running playlist for 10 years.
A great record.
Great band.
That's a great record.
Great record.
They made 3 incredible records, I think, and such a talented band. And Dave and I stumbled into each other's lives through doing this life. He was working at a friend's studio where he was just kind of, the Stills had broken up and he was working on a project he had called 8.5. And I was working with a gentleman named Andy Kim, who has written songs like Sugar Sugar with Jeff Berry, Rock Me Gently.
Oh, whoa.
He's a Lebanese Quebecois kid that came to the Brill building when he was 16 years old.
Whoa.
And his life changed. So we had met and I loved him so much that I just said, let's make a looking back album. Let's just go out there and push you forward by emotionally looking back. But he didn't want to sing around me. He's such a lovely gentleman, Andy. He's such a beautiful, beautiful human, but he's also a little kid at times. And he just said, I can't sing in front of you when we're making this. So I tapped Dave Hamlin's shoulder because he's Lebanese Quebecois and he was just getting into production. And the two of them went off and started working on vocals and reworking songs with Andy. And then I started going in the studio with Dave and we made a solo record together and of mine called Darlings. And we were at the Bath Studios, which is the Hip studio. And Gord, who I knew just a little bit, started to come out and visit us. And we said, hey, let's make a record together. And we worked on a project called Secret Path, which we weren't sure what exactly we were working on. And when we finished it, he described to us that this was a record. Sorry about the siren.
That's okay.
Okay.
Real life. You're always having a better time than somebody else. You know who said that to me? It was Jose. This gentleman from By Divine Right said that one time when there was a siren and he was speaking and he said, you're always having a better day than somebody else. And I never forgot that.
That's very good. I won't forget that either.
Jose Canzero. Okay, so listen, anyways, where was I? Oh, yes. We made this record and then Gord asked if we would come in with the band. And I'm not sure the band completely wanted us, but once we got there and we started working, I really believed they were absolutely wonderful to work with because they were just there to make music. There was no other agenda. And they would just say, what are we doing today? They weren't like, this is how I need it to be and this is what I want. They obviously had goals, as everybody does, but they were wonderful. And it was such a strange and bizarre time to be with this band that you grew up with and loved. And then I would always just try to go.
That's why I ask, because that just seems insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you really grew up with it, like your parents might have listened to this, you know what I mean? Kind of vibe is like a very crazy place to be in.
Well, they were very welcoming and Gord kind of pushed us in as his guys, but then we sort of started to realize there was this, we were Gord's lover. And if we had to be very careful about how we dealt with the band and trying to be their lover as we're trying to make this record. But they had been together so long that it was very simple when things clicked to capture what they were capturing because it was just this Velcro glue of melody. So all that Dave and myself and Niall Spencer, who was running the Bathhouse and still does, and this is a key player in all these projects, Niles, I've spent over a decade making albums with him aging. He just produced for me. We just found ourselves all taking different roles. And my role might have been going in with the fucking Coors Light, you know, just like, I'm going in. And I would get in with these guys and just listen to everything that was going on. And I look back at it and I think to myself, one, how lovely was it that they trusted us to do this? And two, it was only after that we finished that record, not too far after that, Gord found out he had a brain tumor. So the timing of it became a monumental moment in my life that I haven't really gotten past and worked with other bands, full records like that since. It's almost as if
really
the gods were saying, here's a band that you're going to produce start to finish. And I haven't I've worked with this band, Ambagazi, who I adore, but they were the first ones to come in many years later where I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to do this again. And they were also so very welcoming to me. And we just sort of dove in, and you try to capture things really quickly. You try to capture moments really quickly. You don't want to spend time sitting around and talking about emotion. As much as we know therapy is good for that, and as much as we know the aspect of self-help and all those things are worthy of communication and conversation, art, a lot of the times, it's like whatever that first feeling is, if we don't catch it, then we're going to lose it. So that was very much how we were trying to approach everything.
I mean, that's an interesting way to approach production in general, because I do think that, like, we have a lot of friends who are producers and like songwriters and that whole thing, and they talk about how it's such a funny job to go in with someone who sometimes is very famous and, you know, have to figure out, you know, how to make something together. And it's endlessly fascinating to me.
It is, because you're dealing with not only their art, but their lives and their idea that they're on the back porch of their days. And for me, when I can be like working with Andy Kim, when Gord was on his way to the door, we were able to work together. And we were able to dive into a record called Introduce Yourself, where he was writing letters through music we were writing together to his loved ones. And it really made me become addicted to the aspect of, I want to work with people who have nothing to lose. They've done what they've needed to do. And now they're just trying to create music to go and explain how they feel within this moment in their life and play some shows and not have the weight of the world of their corporation within their bands or their careers on top of them. It's the most incredible thing to work with people who've been there, done that, and now they're finding peace in the aspect of they just want to play 3 chords and sing a song.
Well, how close are you to that personally?
I think that was how aging came about. I'm not too sure how much longer I'm going to be doing this. Also in the aspect of, it's just there's a different jukebox to it all now. And as I said, a lot of people, they don't think this is a cool thing to say, but I'm happy to be on your podcast. I've seen the people that you've brought on your podcast. I see the guests on your podcast. I'm not a popular person within the world of how things work these days, but I did a lot with a lot of people. You know, I understand the life that I've lived, and I never thought that I was supposed to have a career in what I was doing. And that's what Andy Kim sort of taught me, was it was never supposed to be a career. It's just, as I said earlier to you both, Chris and Jason, it's just a reaction to what you're living.
It was hard to imagine Broken Social Scene being a career, just in terms of financially, you know, how messy that has all been. And I'm sure you're sick of talking about that, but I heard recently that your dad does or did do your books for a long time, right?
I just left him. I just said, Dad, I can't. I gotta go. I gotta go to this podcast. We're sitting having lunch.
Okay, so you just left him physically. You didn't leave him as a client, is what you're saying?
No. He's still running the show, and I think he's running the show, one, because he's an incredible business. He has incredible look on business, but also because I needed help 20 years ago, and he was starting to retire out of the book industry. And I said to him, just help us out for a little bit. But everybody in the band and the label that I own as well, with Jeff Remedios, Kieran Roy, we all realized what an asset he was. And now nobody in the band wants him to ever go away, because he became our biggest protector. And when you have that sort of father figure out there calling the shots when it comes to your money, it's a really comforting feeling knowing that there's someone out there.
Feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, if it's your dad, is there a good chance that he don't take a cut?
Well, he reminds me every day of how he could. When the Leonard Cohen story broke, he read all about it, and then he just kind of broke it down. It's like, here's how I could take the same amount of money that the manager took from Leonard. He really can see how artists are vulnerable. We're daydreamers.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it used to be like, I made a record. I burned 500 CDs. Where are they? They're under my bed. Okay, I get it. We need people to help us. And I think that's what's suffering within the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter world, is that so many people who decided to devote their lives to breaking other people's dreams now have their own dreams and their own microphones, yet they're still working at jobs that they're supposed to be focusing on others. And it's interesting to watch the demise of art as that becomes more and more, I believe, the cancer of what we're dealing with within society and art and all the things that make us try to find identity within who we want to spend our time with.
Damn. So no wonder you're getting out of the biz.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. When you say getting out of the biz, what does that mean? Like, what would you do with your time?
Well, he didn't say that. I said that, but he said, I don't know how much longer I'll be doing this for.
I guess that's true. You're thinking about it.
Yeah, look, I've made a solo record. It's a very personal one. I wasn't sure I was going to put it out. I ended up doing that. And I can only look at what I'm receiving to move forward. I am so grateful for everything that I've had, and I'm especially grateful for everything that I have. It took me a while, as it does, to get here, but I'm here. And I lost my mom in the summertime, and that was my mom. And my mom was my greatest supporter, and she filled every role for me that moms do through the good times and bad, but she saw that I was a struggling kid who was a daydreamer. And at first she thought it was wrong. Like I had problems, and as so many parents do, if their kids are autistic or on the spectrum or feeling different than others. But then she kind of realized this kid's got some kind of power, and put me in the arts world and put me in art school and put me in drama programs. So when my mom died, there's a part of me that thought, I so love making music. I love making music with people. I love the community of music. And I feel very satisfied with what I have done. It's not that I want to get out of the biz. If people allow me to keep doing this, I'll do it. But if people are saying, oh, we're going to, go hang out over here instead, then I'm just grateful that I had their time. And I'll go find something else to do where I can try to keep this vibe going of being a person who observes everything in life and tries to put it into some sort of format that helps others. That's all I ever wanted to do, because that's all I ever got from music. It helped me.
Yeah, me too.
It was hard, and it helped me.
Just don't start a podcast and we're good.
Yeah. People told me to do a podcast years ago. Everything in my life, all I want to do is make films. And now I feel like I stand on a platform and this train just doesn't stop. It just goes by.
You don't want to make film. That's the hardest, most expensive. It requires more people than Broken Social Scene. You don't want to do that.
I'm doing it.
You don't want to do that.
I got to do it. No, if I don't do it, then I die saying, I didn't do the thing that I originally wanted to do, which I can't do that.
You can't
I can't
stomach
be the
that.
person.
Okay. All right.
No, when you sit there and you say, oh, I could have done that, or I could have done this. And then you catch yourself saying that and you think, oh my God, am I going to become one of those people? But I understand who those people are.
Am I going to make a flute album?
Yeah, anything can happen.
I'm glad he made that record.
I am too.
I'm glad he made that record, because he made that record to remind people to be quiet. And he is one of the greatest rappers of all time. And 17 years later, he said, here's what I think you need. And I know people think they don't need it, but quite frankly, when I pressed play, I was grateful and thought, this is exactly what I need, especially now.
Me too.
I've come around on it. Oh,
really? Well, I brought that up mainly because you were talking about you love it when a musician or a band or someone is making something just because they want to make it outside of commerce and agents and advances and stuff, and just like to have the financial freedom and creative freedom to just be like, I'm going to do this. And it's not just flutes only. It's just like a sick, nice ambient record to listen to.
It's an ambient album, and we need them. We need them more than ever. It's so loud out there. There's so many people yelling at each other, and the loudest person in the room is right, and everyone's going after each other, and there's so much divide, and there's so much awfulness. And Andre 3000 says, here's my flute album. What do you think I'm going to say? I'm going to say, thank you.
Andre said, smoke on something real quick. Pop this in. Sir, yes, sir.
Situations like that, I guess that I was hearing him talk about it, being like, what the fuck am I going to rap about? Getting a colonoscopy? I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I have nothing to rap about. Like, that's not where I'm at. And I was like, okay, that's a very good, because rapping is probably, or hip hop in general, is the hardest genre to age in, for many reasons. So I think that he, unlike a lot of his peers, his legacy will remain untarnished.
Well,
by these decisions.
I think aging is the hardest genre to age in, because what is he going to rap about? There's so much for him to rap about if he wanted to. I think he probably said that line in a realm of like, well, what am I going to rap about? And we all grabbed onto it, and we all made it a TikTok special and all that shit that comes with everyone stating their opinions.
Damn, don't come for me, Kevin. Don't come for me.
Oh, no, I'm not. I don't come
It's
for
helpful,
anyone.
Chris.
I
You
say
needed
this,
to hear this.
my arm is on your back. I say this rubbing your back. But what I am taking within the opportunity of you saying that is that it's just aging in general. I know for myself, the last Social Scene record, Hug a Thunder, if you guys were to say, okay, let's see what he's talking about, I sang a few songs, but not a lot. And we had a lot of vocalists coming in, a lot of people writing tunes, because I couldn't quite figure out what to sing about at that point. I just couldn't. And I think when you grow older, and we're growing older in a time that is, as you know, becoming about so much information, that the artistic mind usually clocks through observation. And observation is sort of down on the list because it's about information. And that's tough to put into a lyrical format.
Well, you mentioned, what was that song called? What Thunder?
The album.
Sorry. The record was called Hug a Thunder. I just sort of pulled back lyrically. I only had a few jams where I actually sang, because it was difficult for me I was trying to find, and also you have this huge group of people where with this record aging that I just put out, it was easy for me. I was coming up with lyrics very fluently, because I was also looking at friends who had left. My mother was quite sick at the time. Found freedom in the idea that I said, I won't put this out, but I'll make it, because it was the pandemic, and it was about trying to remain occupied through creation in the fall of 2021. And I was just sort of looking to go and hang out with Niles Spencer, who I told you about, the bathhouse, and just sort of do the journal. Just say, okay, here's my journal. And I shelved it for 2 years because I didn't feel like it was necessary to sort of...
You made it for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I was okay with that. But I had some encouragement.
Did Arts and Crafts give you a big advance?
Yeah, they finally opened the checkbook.
Yeah. Exactly. Here you go. We want to lose this amount of money on your... No, I'm just kidding. It was Cameron Reed from Arts and Crafts, and then it was Brendan Canning, who's my partner in... I sent this record out to some people, and you know, life's different when you send stuff to friends and they don't get back to you because they don't listen to it. And it was not by their fault by any means, but they're busy, they're living their lives, they're doing their things. And of course, as I said about information and emails, you forget. And I've been on that end many times, which I always feel really bad about when people send me albums and I forget this great band Zeus, who I love, and Arts and Crafts have put out for years. I only recently saw that they had sent me their record many moons ago.
Yeah.
And it stabbed me that I didn't catch that. And I even wrote back like, gonna listen tonight. And then it just didn't happen.
Gonna listen tonight. That was 2016.
But Brendan.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we have. Exactly. You know the deal. But Canning.
Zeus got over it.
I think they did. I have not spoken to them, but they made an incredible record because they're an incredible band and they're extremely talented musicians who deserve more than what they've been given and what they're getting, which is a story that I see all the time with having this label, Arts and Crafts. It's so interesting to me to see what goes and what doesn't, and what's timing is correct and what's timing is wrong. It's a bizarre world, but within this record of aging, just to get back to it so I can finish this so my brain doesn't have an ice cream headache, I decided to put it out, and my man Canning told me to put it out, Brendan, and I feel happy that I did.
Are you going to play show? Are you playing shows?
I'll be in LA and New York.
Okay, so we're doing. I'll be in LA and New York. Check your local listings.
I want to see both of you at the gig. Is what I'm trying to say.
What is the setup for this? Like full band? Like what's the vibe?
No, it's me and another gentleman, Danny Ledwell, a lovely guy I met through his wife, Jen Grant. I grabbed him because I know he's a instrumentalist and basically just a very enthusiastic human being who, when you're going to do this raw world of I'm solo when I usually have 12 to 17 people with me. I needed
it's usually got the polyphonic spree behind you.
Let's call Austin back in 2016. We need you. Excuse me, 2016. I think it was 2005. We played a gig with him one time, and I remember my ex-wife, I thought, I've lost her. She joined that band, and I know I couldn't find her at the venue for like hours. And finally I did. She's like, I was on stage. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Like, I'm sure you were.
Man, polyphonic spree and broken social scene. Just imagine the mixing board, how much tape is on there. There's no point in sound checking, right? There's not enough channels in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to make this band work by not selling people on love, but trying to sell them on, here's what we can give you. Here's what we can cut you into. Here's the songwriting that you will get. We know your career is going well. Would you help us out here? What can we do to help you? And I think that's how we existed longer than bands like that, because Polyphonic Spree was so stunning and so beautiful, but I didn't know how they were paying everybody. I just didn't understand it from a financial point of view of where.
I think it probably was an actual cult, and that's kind of how you have to get, people feel like they're doing a service. That's the only answer I can find.
Not even your dad could fix those books, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I looked at it every which way. Yeah. I just don't see it.
I'm just waiting for it. It's not a cult until there's a Netflix documentary, and then we'll call it a cult. But for now, I'm just going to call it a band.
That's true.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's coming down the pipes.
Well, speaking of hugging the thunder, you have a song on aging called "Awful Lightning." What's going on here? I see a trend with dangerous weather patterns. Is this just a coincidence, or is this something that you think about?
That was, oh God, you're going to hate that you asked me this. That was the aspect.
No, I won't.
Just in the realm of, it was for my mom, and it was sort of about the aspect of aging. And I grew up with a great song by Rock and Hyde, who's Bob Rock. They had the band, the Paolas, and they had this song called Talk to Me. And it was a beautiful song about just being ignored as you get older. And I always listened to that when I was a kid because I loved their records. And it was a song that somehow made me look at the elders in our life quite differently. And back in 2021, when Niles and I were just constructing these songs very quickly, we went in to make a children's record, and we switched it around once we started singing about the aspects of getting older in life that maybe children don't actually need to hear, but we were trying to do it in a lullaby realm. And I just sort of was singing about the aspect of lightning is so beautiful and so striking and so incredible. And my mother was always such lightning to me, but her body was turning inward on her and folding into a napkin that was taking her mind from her. And I just thought about the sense of awful lightning. And it was where and I apologize to answer this question for you, because it is a little in the aspect of personal heaviness, but
It's okay. It's what you do best.
I observed her body shutting down. And it reminded me of this Rock and Hide song where as you get older, you don't become seen. And I always thought there was something really beautiful and truthful about that. So I kind of took it from a page from that song.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I mean, I think about that sometimes. I visualize it as sort of just a giant, just the waves just going in and sucking it back into the ocean. And, 100 years later, it's all forgotten.
It's heavy.
It's heavy, man. Well, hey, the new One's album in stores now. Check them out.
Album in stores. We're hitting the road. Come see us in your city.
You guys are lovely.
Kevin, it was great talking to you. The highs and the lows of aging. Available now. When's the LA and New York shows? We're gonna try and come out and see one of them at least.
Yeah, it's. I'm sorry, I don't have the dates. It's January, sort of 19th, 20th, and I think sort of 26, 27, maybe in LA. So I'll be in New York first, and then coming out. And gentlemen, thank you. Now, can I do something for you really quickly before we go?
Please.
Sure.
Because I wanted to do something since I've listened to your show.
Mm-hmm.
But just give me, you don't have to put this on air, but just give me a little breezeway here. I thought I'd do a commercial for you.
Okay, no, please, yes, go right ahead.
We're gonna give you more than a breezeway. Do you want me to send you a couple scripts? We have a McDonald's ad read that we're overdue on.
I wrote something down for you.
Oh, okay.
Got
this
it.
is great.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's an honor.
When I'm feeling down, I get on that McDonald's app and I go grab my food by skipping the line. I grab my nuggies, I go home, and then I dip them in the aesthetic greens with the 75 nutrients while I lay on my Helix mattress and dream of a better world.
Shit.
There you go. How was that?
I mean, the combination of those three things is so twisted that I think it works.
Wow. If aging doesn't make me cry, that commercial will. Dipping your nuggets in the AG1? Aging one?
Yeah, AG1. That's what it's
Jason's
called. AG1. What is with... Does AG1 have a corner on the podcast market?
Yes.
Because I've heard AG1 a lot.
Yes, okay. I mean some companies just like choose, it works for them and they lean in, and that's like how they advertise. I mean, I think Athletic Greens, Jason. Yeah, that's like all they do. Kind of.
Yeah, they've been advertising. Yeah, they've been advertising on podcasts for years and years now. Yeah. It's definitely it's all they do.
Well, guess who wants to get it?
I want Guess who's about to get it?
You're about to get it. Yeah, you just earned
your siren song has been answered by the good folks at AG1.
Our friends over.
We'll make
AG1.
sure to get a nice little gift package out over there too.
I feel bad. I did mess it up a little. I messed up.
It might get stuck in customs, but we'll figure out what we can do. We'll see what we can do. I don't know.
I know some. People.
I bet you do. I bet you do. We'll get a grant to get these things over there.
I'm a whiz on the laptop. I'll clean it up and post.
Oh, good. Thank you.
You did have a little auto. You put a little auto tune on aging, which I don't touch personally. It's just a thing that I don't do. But so no promises on that. Okay. But you got a good clean take.
Really quickly, you would be great in auto tune because you have a very relaxing voice. Now, yes, this is your podcast, but I do believe if you were to go into that wanderlust world of self-healing and meditation, you would rock. And also, just to address your auto tune. That was Niles when we were making this children's record, and I said to him, I want some kind of like grandmother, mother, woman to sing this. And he threw me through auto-tune. And I can understand why it's so addictive to the people like myself who sing like Kermit the Frog, because it makes you sound like you're this glorious angel from the never-ending story.
It makes you sound good. It's so weird. It's not anything I'm used to.
A powerful tool.
And it's also important, you're like, hey, we're not going to hire another person to join the band. We're just going to auto-tune it, okay? And it's going to be tough for you, Kevin, but we can do it with just solo.
All right, well, listen.
We can get it done.
Thank you so much for that commercial ad read. Truly an honor.
We appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you so much. And
I appreciate you both. And really quickly.
We'll see you soon. Yeah.
You will see me soon because you and I, the three of us, I'm going to have you in Toronto. I'm going to have you up to my place.
Ooh.
I'm going to get you really high, and we're going to listen to the Beastie Boys louder than you've ever heard music before. And when you leave, you will say, I understand it now.
Damn, this is Canadian conversion therapy.
I promise you.
That's a big promise. That's a big promise.
We're gonna
Thank
take
you,
me
Kevin.
up to your Clockwork Orange cabin up there in Ontario, and we're gonna.
Oh, it's beautiful. Don't worry. And I don't get high, so I would probably hire someone to do it for me, but then I would DJ being like, let's go.
That's a more fun approach.
Yeah.
No, thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks so
All
much.
right, later, Kevin. Thanks.
Bye.